Purdue as Mitchell looks for an answer.
Ooh, pure, nothing but net.
Garland to the basket, stole the inbound pass. He lays it in.
Basketball down there.
Very high percentage shot for him from that spot. Merrill for three. Tristan Thompson on the floor. Diaz for three. That's short. Hard rebound. Ricochets out to Merrill for three again.
For the We Like Sports Show, tune in and see the latest the crew has to say regarding the latest sports topics nationally and locally. Make sure to check out our website as well, WeLikeSportsPC.com. Subscribe on all platforms, including podcast platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and much more. And be sure to follow us on X at We Like Sports PC.
Started with Anderson and Ramirez.
He said, let's go, right? Yeah, I'm sure he wants the game to start, but they won't let it. And rightfully so.
And welcome to the We Like Sports Show once again. I'm Payton alongside Avi. Cam's on his way, I'm sure. Work with me here, though, guys. I literally just came back from the dentist, and this side of my mouth, the left side of my mouth, it's completely numb still.
You're going to be having droopy face syndrome like halfway through the show.
Or else you're going to see me like drooling. And it's not over opening day by any means. It's just because I don't notice it. So anybody in the comments, I guess, just let me know. Cam, do me a favor, Cam. If you see me drooling at all, help me out here.
Why are you so red?
Why am I so red?
Your face looks so red.
I just got done at the dentist.
Man, they drilled you hard, didn't they?
Yeah, and I told Avi and everybody else too. I go, if
Where's
you
the
see
pause,
me
Avi?
drooling,
Pause.
I didn't get it.
From my hotel room. I love it.
That
Look at this
which
guy.
hotel are you
Living
at?
the high
What
life.
number?
Yeah, you want the address? Yeah, I'll text it to you later after we're done.
No, I want everybody to just hang out.
Honestly, I might want that. It's kind of boring down here for the most part. So,
Well, you know it's not boring though. It's a great way to get into it. March Madness.
Oh, boy.
Did you guys?
Hey.
Let's be honest here. Let's just get right into it. Did you guys fill out a bracket?
no,
You didn't, really?
I did not.
What kind of sports
That's
fan?
shocking.
Well, listen, last year I got my heart broken when Oakland dominated Kentucky in the first round. So I kind of didn't want the same thing to happen again this year. So I avoided it altogether.
Well, guess what? If you would have filled out a bracket, you would have been fine.
I would have been fine either way, but I agree with you.
Shout out Golke, the man.
Who?
Jack Golke. Almost had him at the show at one point. Might be worth messaging again.
Nice.
I did also message, if you guys see it happening anytime soon, Amir Aura Khan. I sent a message to as well for McNeese.
Is he bringing the aura?
Dude, he's always bringing the aura. Did you not
all
see
about it
Buffalo
here.
Wild Wings in his giant speaker box?
Let's get some more light in here. There we go.
Dude, his story is so funny. Like, going from, managing a D1 program to he has like 100K plus in NIL deals just from the waves he's made. It's
crazy.
It's definitely impressive.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's ridiculous how great he ended up becoming. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say an overnight sensation, because if you followed McNeese early on, you knew of him. But, like, on the bigger stage, for one, I didn't know for a fact that he was literally sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. But when you turn the beat box around, the wings on the beat box are 100% Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
But,
March Madness, huh?
yeah, so you didn't fill out a bracket.
No, I did not. Avi?
I did. It was doing pretty well first round. And then I kind of got demolished. I had St. John's going to the final against Duke, and then I have Duke winning the tournament. So
I
not
was
doing
gonna
too hot.
say, how about that Arkansas, huh?
So
Man, Arkansas is, I expected them to be a good team in the tournament, but first time coach at a new school, I kind of discounted their ability, and clearly I was wrong.
Calipari knows how to coach, man, except for last year when they lost to Oakland and he was with Kentucky. But Calipari's still a good coach.
Calipari is always Calipari at the end of the day. And to go the upset route too, it's ironic that I ended up mentioning it because it's literally on my laptop. I never even was on it since I filled out my bracket, Wednesday night. So in my finals, it's still possible. I have Ole Miss and Duke, both of them. Ole Miss beating Auburn coming up this week in the Elite Eight, hopefully, between the winner of Michigan and Texas A&M. Both those schools, I ended up taking the upset. I took UC San Diego and Yale to go to the Sweet 16.
I was about to say, didn't the Aggies lose?
Aggies did lose, yeah.
They lost to Michigan.
And Yale, I think.
Yep.
Yale looked like they were going to be a very possible upset going into the tournament, and they just didn't show up like they did last year.
The whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan.
The worst part was Drake. I told you guys, all because of last week too. We ended up diving into Chat GPT or Gronk or Grook or whatever on Twitter.
You love that.
Avi taught me how to use it, so I ran with it, and they said Drake all the way to the Final Four. Well, Drake, I heard you're not winning March, to quote Kendrick.
Okay. Well, didn't Drake win in the first round?
They did.
Bad.
So I had the first part
bad,
right.
Bad Payton. Bad joke.
Listen, it's not a bad joke when the March Madness Live app itself literally.
You do that too well, Avi.
Bad. So bad.
And then Texas Tech, they
can't.
almost ended up. I did have Texas Tech. They lost to New Mexico, right? And then Missouri against New Mexico. My parlay, man. I had the under in the Kentucky game, the under in the Bama game. And I told you guys and Bobby, Colorado. No, I didn't have New Mexico. Sorry, I had Colorado State. So
against Maryland.
Yes, I'm looking at Missouri. I'm on the wrong side of the bracket. So I had them, and Maryland should have lost that game.
Oh, yeah.
With 5 seconds left, I was feeling pretty confident. And Michigan State to win money line, too. I was like, you know what? Awesome. Who's that? Knock, knock. Who's there?
Oh.
Derek Queen?
Is that the one that hit the game winner?
That's the one that I ended up saying, why did you end up hitting that? And he goes, because I'm from Baltimore.
Snipe.
Well, the clip of what makes your coach so effective or something like that. And Derek Queen goes, well, first of all, he is the one that paid us. So
nice.
The reporters are like, okay.
He's not wrong.
And taking a step further, I'm glad you brought that up. So it's going to be a question. We're going to try something different here. We're going to use the social media. Twitter coming up after the show. You're going to have 3 days. And then next Tuesday when we come back, we're going to end up reviewing that question. But did NIL ruin March Madness? Yes or no? And if you end up having a reply back on Twitter on that poll that's going to be posted following the show, we'll share it with everybody on air too. You'll end up getting a little bit of airtime. We'll even screenshot it, cap it, throw it on the screen. But I think that's a great question. And I think, personally, it did. Because you didn't see the upsets. I mean, look at FAU way back. They split up and they made it to the Sweet 16. That's been the primetime story this year. is the fact that 3 guys on FAU's team are on 3 different teams in the Sweet 16 now. And I
feel
think
like it's hard to say ruined it.
Ruined.
Yeah, I don't want to say it ruined it by any means because it's not every year is there a Cinderella story. Like people are acting like we didn't just get really lucky with the cool Cinderella stories the past few years. And
Loyola Chicago.
Right. I mean, but it's not every single year that you have a team go into the Elite Eight. That's a 15 or a 13 seed. And now that there's one year that we don't have like a very high seed going. I mean,
Arkansas is kind of worth it because they're a 10
yeah, but they're
seed.
an SEC team, so they're paying their players quite a lot of money to go play there. So I feel like that argument can't really be made because Arkansas is a heavily
Arkansas.
Okay, whatever you want to call it. They have some of the most money out of any teams to pay their players because of the support from the Walmart family.
Yeah. You also get a good coach like Calipari, and that's going to also boost who you can get there as well. I mean, we act like this hasn't something that has happened in the past. When you have a good coach, you can recruit good talent. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Jim Tressel with Youngstown. They had good talent when he was with them. Didn't have Ohio State talent, but he goes to Ohio State. Now he's got the whole world in his hand when it came to recruiting. It all just depends on who the coach is, and then what money you can add into that is definitely a plus.
Yeah, and some of these games that could have been like massive upsets were really close to going the upset side and ended up being, not the upset, even though they were super close games.
We got somebody new.
Arizona Wildcats. They know. That's I like the Wildcats, man. They play fast. They score a lot on the fast break, and they got a lot of talent on that team. That's one of those teams that was kind of a wild card for me this tournament. But I will say I didn't have them, going as far as after this next round. I have them losing to Duke, unfortunately. Sorry, Champy. But I think that'll be a great game to watch. That's for sure.
Also, shout out Champy for commenting. We appreciate you. I don't even know if this is the first time you're watching the show, but it's the first time you're commenting that I recall. So shout out to you. Feel free to contribute whenever. But before Cam gets to his point on March Madness, I think the thing that kind of ended up having it soured for me is Calipari ended up saying at the end of, I think, their second round game, they're like, oh, the transfer portal. And he goes, when does it open up? Monday? Like tomorrow, 2 days from now? And when you're in the middle of recruiting for March Madness, that's at least a flaw right now that needs to be changed for after the tournament, I think, in my opinion.
I can agree on that. That's something I'll agree with you on. I definitely feel like it's almost like this is almost like that pre-tampering window right now, and that's kind of where they're getting away with it. I think they need to definitely take that step back. I know the NFL made that adjustment. I would like to see March Madness do the same thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrinkles to be smoothed out, but I think that's just one of the many of them. There's a lot of issues with it right now, and they're not going to figure it out all at once. Unfortunately, the bureaucracy of the NCAA has always kind of moved slowly, and I don't think that's going to change it all here. But in the next couple of years, it'll definitely get better. But
so two things here. Before we jump into that, I know we got the season opener for baseball. Our team plays at 4:10, which is perfect because March Madness is going to continue that sports watching trend right afterwards. I want to say two things. Number one, sorry about UConn, Avi. They were that close.
Nah, they played like shit.
They were but to lose by 2 after playing like shit is pretty good. But Thursday slate and Friday slate for the Sweet 16 is ridiculous. I mean, you have BYU versus Alabama. Go Cougars. You have Maryland and Florida, which should be a good game. Arizona and Duke, that should be a good game. And then Texas Tech and Arkansas. I mean, that right there alone is a good Thursday slate. And then transitioning into Friday, you got Ole Miss and Michigan State, which is huge. Michigan
Don't
State
sleep on
almost
that game.
fumbled. Yeah,
That's gonna be
that's
a
a
great
huge
game.
game. And then you got Tennessee and Kentucky. That's another great game that's going to happen.
Massive
Michigan and
SEC
Auburn,
matchup.
that could be an upset. I think Michigan has a chance to potentially beat Auburn in this one. And then also Purdue and Houston. This could be a Purdue upset. I mean, these are teams that are going to walk in like Auburn and Houston and think they're going to have a cakewalk, and they're not.
I think Purdue making it as far as it is already kind of like a shocker and upset, because usually they're used to fumbling the bag as it ends up going longer into the tournament.
But those are the games where you have a top-tier team and you think you're going to have a cakewalk, and that's where the upset's going to occur. Those two games right there, to me, scream upset.
For sure. And, well, the Purdue also, they lost their best player in Zach Edey. You know, I feel like this year's Purdue team and this year's UConn team are similar in the way that they lost their all-star bigs, you know, with Klingon leaving. UConn, obviously, UConn had a number of other pieces, you know, Stephon Castle, Tristan Newton go to the NBA. But Purdue has just continued to play really good ball, even without that, you know, pivotal piece to their team last year. So it's impressive what they're doing this year for sure.
And I mean, best case scenario too, to end up segueing it, because those scooters are awesome. You end up having on Thursday opening day, Friday Guardians are off, so you end up having the second half of Sweet 16 action all to yourself, and you have a whole sports docket ahead, and baseball if you want to end up going that route. But in Guardians news, 25 of the 26 spots are already sealed, signed, and delivered. And that last man, I think Stephen Vogt hinted at it earlier on in the day, saying that Jonathan Rodriguez is with the team. He's traveling to Kansas City, but we can't confirm or deny until it's made officially official. But you tell me, and you read what the room's saying in the end.
I don't understand that, because if that were the case, just if you're going to keep another outfielder, why option Will Brennan? That's what makes no sense to me, because Jonathan Rodriguez didn't have a good spring.
I feel like this move, and Payton, I agree with you. It's probably going to end up being Jonathan Rodriguez on the roster. You know, if they are saying stuff like that, it's all but official at this point. And I think that move is more so of like a gamble on him to play well this year. We're talking about the minors MVP last year, so it's not like he's not a good player. And he had some flashes last year in the majors that he looked decent. He had some flashes that he looked absolutely horrible, especially defensively. And I think they would rather gamble on having his bat catch on fire early in the season and keep him throughout the year, rather than, you know, going with the tried and true Will Brennan, who, you know, will bat 225 and hit a few home runs throughout the year, but he's not going to be that, you know, flashy right fielder that Jonathan Rodriguez could be.
Yeah.
Do I sound insane saying that? Does it make sense?
No, it definitely makes sense. My thing, though, is, again, like with the Brennan situation, at least Brennan has made great defensive plays.
Yeah.
You know, my biggest thing is, and I know it was earlier in the year, or like halfway when he got called up, but Noel has shown he's got an arm, which I love, but he also has shown that he has issues tracking the ball down at times.
Yes.
He has gotten better, but I don't want any errors because he can't play it off a hop off the wall. You know what I mean?
That's been the same issue with Jonathan Rodriguez. I mean,
and
I remember
that's what's concerning.
There was two different instances last year, one with Jonathan Rodriguez, one with John Kenzie, that, like, I'll never forget. And both of them almost did exactly the same thing. You guys probably remember this. They're running in on a short pop fly, completely overrun it, you know, by 10 yards, and realize too late and try to stop and end up slipping, falling on their butt, in what should have been a easy pop out turns into a double or a triple in one of the cases.
we were all at the stadium when we played the Orioles here in Cleveland, and that was in a prime example. He thought, oh, this ball's coming in. No, it got over his head. He didn't play it right, and we were only down 1. That turned into a 3-run game at that point in the 8th. We lost it right then and there just because of a bad defensive play, and that sucks because he catches that. I think he guns out the guy at third. I think he guns him out at home. That's easily happens. It's just you got to play the ball right, and Hopefully he did change that. I'm gonna give him that chance there. But Peyton's got something here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Little
was directed
harsh,
towards
but
me or
No, it's
I think
essentially what you guys are talking about the outfield this year is get ready to end up having the circus on board because it's going to be a struggle either way. That's the negativity that I'm hearing in the room here. At least from
unfortunately,
Cameron.
I don't think
Cameron.
we have Nolan Jones too, who I think is going to get a decent amount of playing time throughout the year. I don't think he'll be our opening day right field starter. It'll probably end up being John Kenzie Noel. But we can't forget him. Like he's gonna get his time on the field for sure.
Peyton, we had this discussion yesterday, man, and I'm not trying to get back into it, but
Before you get into that, I want to get into the outfield situation too, because I know you're itching to end up going there. But all in all,
you mean
what
infield?
this tells me with Jonathan Rodriguez is that more than likely, if this happened, every sequence of events happened and Chase DeLauder would have been healthy. Welcome to the show, kid. That's the scenario. But instead, I'm with Avi here, and I say, Jonathan Rodriguez, I'd rather take the risk on him, see what you got out of him, because if he ends up turning it, it's risk versus reward right now. That's what you're going to end up getting. It's You already know what you got in Will Brennan. 100% you know what you got in Will Brennan. Essentially, his comparison right now, people might like it, they might not, but he's almost comparable to Tyler Naquin when he was in right field and he was playing ball out there. You knew what you got in Will Brennan. With Jonathan Rodriguez, last year during the season, if this happens, you saw him for a week and that was it. He had a bad case, bad luck just overall that he couldn't end up having a benefit. And next man up mentality, he was the next one down. I'll give him the shot early on if that's the case. And maybe he does end up proving us all wrong. And early on in the year, in April and in May, that's the time to prove people wrong. And then you end up finding a gold mine that you didn't expect. But anyways, I wanted to comment on that part of the outfield and the Chase DeLauder thought, because I think for a fact that would happen if every sequences of events followed. But can't go on with your discussion from yesterday.
Well, to piggyback off of what you said there, my question to you then is going to be this. If you have Noel and you have Nolan Jones now, how many games is he really going to play, Jonathan Rodriguez? Unless he's playing every other game, what's the point?
Hold on a second, because I think there's a way to end up thinking about this, and I'm going to do right now what every Guardians analytics person in the big leagues does.
So I was just looking at some stats also.
Is not only just a right fielder, he's a right fielder, left fielder, and center fielder.
Okay, Lane Thomas, Steven Kwan, you're not changing them. Continue.
So, in return, though, what are Jadkenzie Noel's secondary positions?
First and third. He's not taking third from Hosey, and Santana will be in that lineup every day. So unless you're swapping Manzardo at DH or Noel at DH, Santana's going to be in there. Yeah, Noel and Manzardo can play a game or two at first. First base is pretty much going to be Santana this year, though.
I think you're wrong with it. I think Manzardo's the guy that's at first base. Santana's the guy that's DHing, because you know for a fact you get a consistent hitter at DH. But what did we learn last year from Vogt in his lineup in pitch hitting situations? You bring somebody else on, for example, let's say Nolan Jones ends up starting in right, Manzardo at first. Nolan Jones, lefty-lefty matchup doesn't work. You end up pinch hitting who? Jonathan Rodriguez, defensive substitute. In return, again, Manzardo doesn't have a favorable matchup. I've never seen Schneemann, who's the ultimate utility guy, play first base, but Jadkenzie Noel does. That's playing into the hand of what Stephen Vogt's managing ways has shown us just last year alone. I think that it's organized chaos throughout the season. The Tigers managed that on the bullpen side. I think on the hitting side, Stephen Vogt has managed organized chaos throughout the lineup 1 through 9, and you're going to take advantage of every utility guy possible.
Yeah, again, my thing is this. We have watched this happen so many times. You brought up, well, you've seen Santana on the outfield. Yeah, because he had no choice. There was no DH from the World Series. Unfortunately, you have a choice now. So if you have the choice, why make it harder on yourself? That's number one. Number two for me is this. When we have seen brilliance with that substitution strategy by vote, we've also seen it kill ourselves with that. How many times did you see last year where you had Schneemann come in for a bat and throw the game away with defensive errors at shortstop, or skip a ball in the dirt 3 times throwing the first because he doesn't have the ability like Rocchio did? I have watched multiple games last year, and I know you guys have as well. Arias is playing defense at short. We're already down in this game. When you could have saved 3 or 4 runs with Rocchio by getting that extra out, you put Arias in there and then you bring him in after you get the lead back. Yeah, you got the lead back. Congratulations. I'm happy about it. We won the game at that point. But we can't keep doing this where you're throwing a couple games in for wins and exchanging it for the same amount of losses because you want to play the switch more.
But you're also speaking of rookie manager last year too. With
Oh,
the year
I
under
agree.
his belt
I
now
agree.
too, I can
Yeah.
see this being more of a benefit and knowing when to pull people more properly. And Cam, you brought up a name that you can't stand, and you have to give the man respect from Arizona last night against the Diamondbacks at second place, or in second base, not second place. But he had a hell of a stop at second. Whether or not you
Okay.
saw it or not,
I think he's
gotta
going to be
give
much
him
better at
respect.
second than he would be at shortstop. That
Yeah,
is for sure.
I agree with the defensive part of it. My biggest issue with him is we got rid of Jimenez because he couldn't hit. It was never the defense. It was because he couldn't hit. Arias has had 3 seasons up here, the combination of 2 full seasons. He has hit 210, 214, 212. That is not good enough to be in the major league level. If we were complaining about Jimenez hitting 230, 225, what are we going to do, Arias? The defense, I will give him props. He has definitely done better at second than short. My issue with him is the offense. When he hits the major league level for offense, something clicks. He's like Yu Chang 2.0. AAA, he's back to hitting 300. As soon as he hits the majors, 197, 200, 205. It's not good. Hopefully that changes. But like I keep saying, we are putting everything in this season on hope. I would like to be able to come into a season like we talked about a couple weeks ago, like the 90s Indians. I want to know we have a lockdown guy. I'm tired of playing missing pieces of the puzzle. When we can get rid of the missing pieces of the puzzles, that's when we can go on another World Series run. We can't do that again until we get past that, in my opinion. We knew what we had in 16 and 17. We had lockdown at third, short, first, second. Outfield was pretty much a little bit more of a hodgepodge in a lot of situations. But other than that, you knew what you had locked down. We don't have a lot of lockdown places other than left, center, third base, and short.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
You're not
question
wrong,
marks.
but that's also kind of the identity of this team. And if you're going to just make the argument of like, we need to get rid of this identity because it didn't work, I mean, I'd say last year it works pretty well, and that was with a rookie coach.
Yeah.
So if he can refine the strategy, and I agree with you that there should be less moves made. You know, there's so much of the craziness of pinch hitting multiple times, you know, in late innings and, you know, making defensive substitutes that a lot of times were perplexing the fans and even the, you know, sports commentators and pundits. I think that'll get better this year, just with experience. And this roster, I think, has better potential to score runs. I mean, to go back to Jonathan Rodriguez, I don't know, Cam, if you realize this, do you know how many home runs without looking he hit last year?
I think he hit almost 30 or over 30.
29 home runs in
Okay,
118 games.
Which is good. Again, I'm not trying
that's not
to bash.
good. That's ridiculous.
No,
so
yeah.
Just a flash of that in the majors, you know, if he stays up with the guards the whole year and plays, you know, 100 games and hits 25 home runs, how much of a difference would that make compared to Will Brennan, who would probably bat around the same average and hit maybe 10 home runs?
5 to 10.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not trying to like completely bash this team in any way. I know it comes across that way. I
It sure
really
sounds
hope
like it.
I know it comes across, but you got to remember, man, we've all been alive the same amount of years almost. This is no, I will not. So you got to remember, man, we've been on this planet about the same amount of years. Peyton a little bit more than most of us, but we Peyton
A lot of forehead.
a lot of forehead.
A
All right,
lot of forehead.
okay. But
One
no,
might call it a
this
five head.
we have seen these teams consistently do this. Yes, that is the identity of Cleveland over the last couple of years, ever since 2017, 2018, when you got, rid of some of your key players and your lockdown position players. But again, we have made wild card playoffs, no playoffs, playoffs, ALCS. We can't get to the final dance again because we can't figure it out. I love making the postseason. I would love to win a World Series that much more. But unfortunately, we don't have that type of potential right now when we keep pulling guys at random. If we can just solidify this and hopefully, like you said, Jonathan Rodriguez, 30 home runs, almost 29 in AAA. If he can lock down right field, I'll be happy. If
Yeah,
Manzardo can be
I
a
hear you.
great DH, I'll be happy. Santana can consistently get walks and consistently gets on base, I'll be happy. But until we see that consistently and not having to do what we did last year with Manzardo, we're sending word back down to AAA and then bringing him up with 2 months left. Yes, he caught lightning in a bottle just like Rocchio did in the playoffs.
I
Bring
don't.
that over and we're good. But until we see it consistently, I'm a little nervous, man. I want to get to the World Series and I want to win it. I don't want to just keep going, cool, playoffs. That's it.
All right. One more thing about Manzardo, and then I want to start a new segment too this
Okay.
week too. But with Manzardo, same thing with Rocchio too. September into October, fantastic. What's one thing those two players and Cam, I'm trying to keep your mind at ease to at least kind of give you hope for Thursday and onward. What's one
I
thing?
have
I know
hope. It's
spring
just
training doesn't do anything, but their numbers carried over from the end of last year, regular season and playoffs through spring training. Manzardo's batting plus 380, close to 400. Rocchio too. That could be something that I expect that this upcoming year, you're not having them do that in spring training for no good reason. You're doing
I
that
agree.
because they're proving that they're belonging now too.
Right.
If you end up seeing like a dip, like drastically terrible example, but like Jose Ramirez, that okay, this is September and October, and he's coming from AAA and batting 190, 200. I don't feel as comfortable, but at least with that now, I could at least be comfortable and go, all right, he's got a postseason home run.
Yeah.
He's been good in September. I don't think you're seeing Manzardo fluctuate the roller coaster or the long drive between
No.
Cleveland and Columbus by any means.
And I understand that. That's why I said Rocchio seems like he's a lockdown. At least defensively he is. That offense looks great. And as we've seen multiple times in spring training this year, he's not just a pull hitter. He's hitting opposite field home runs. He's added power into his bat, which is great. He's added something to where he might be like Steven Kwan last year. He goes from 2 to 3 home runs to, 10, 12 home runs. And if you can do that on top of Kwan keeping up his 10 to 12 home run total, I'll be happy with that, man. Like I said, Jose, Rocchio, Kwan, Thomas, those are your locks. Like those are guys I shouldn't have to worry about. Shouldn't is the key word. But Manzardo, like I said, I'm hoping there's a reason I drafted him in fantasy baseball, Peyton. I believe Manzardo is going to have a good year. I drafted Kwan because I know he's going to have a good year. Kwan has never let us down so far in his career, and that's great. He came from spring training, possibly not making the lineup, to opening day leading off and killed it ever since. Hopefully, that's what you see with Jonathan Rodriguez. Hopefully, that's what you see with Gabriel Arias. Hopefully, you see Bo Naylor start to transition. Bo has given us nothing. Hedges, we already know, is just defense and he's a team clubhouse guy.
What do you
But
mean? He's raking so much during spring training.
Known
But
power
anyways,
hitter.
if you
so,
do have anything
yeah,
else before we end up wrapping it up and doing the new segment, we got about 10 minutes left. I want to
I
get your
do.
final thoughts about the
I got
guards.
my opinion of this, this whole narrative that Cam has of, there's a lot of uncertainty with the team. I think it's actually I think we're coming down the backside of that mountain where I think there is a lot more certainty to this team than you realize.
I just want to see it. That's it.
It might not. I'm getting there. It might not seem like it right now, but in a few weeks, let's call it in a month from now, when we're about 15 games into the season, I think we're going to have a very different conversation about this. I think it's going to go more so to the side of, wow, look at us. We actually have, a line that is consistent. The pieces going into the season, they might not seem as polished as like the beginning of last year when we had Jimenez at second. But it's very similar to last year, but it's more homegrown guys that are getting opportunities. And I mean, I just think Vogt has a plan. I really don't think that he's just going into this willy-nilly. I think there is a plan behind all this, and we're going to start to see that unfold over the first few games and have a real good picture of what the season's going to look like in a month.
No, and I know Payton wants to switch over, so I'll end it with this from my end of it. But, I will give them the full month of April before I go, okay, we've seen enough of this guy, or we've seen enough of this guy. We need to figure out something, or, maybe give him 2 more weeks in May. Looking back at last year, you have a 3-1 record in March, obviously, because there's not that many games played. You have a 16-9 record in April. That's great. They had the best record in baseball by end of April. Then they went 19-9 in May. If you do the opposite of those 3 months, then going into this year, or we're just barely scraping 500, we're not going to last long continuously pumping out how that's going. Maybe they make changes and we catch lightning in a bottle. That's the hope. But it's that gut feeling, man. I've seen so many teams with so much potential where it's like, okay, you finally caught wind and you finally are doing good, and then it just plummets. And a lot of that comes off of a really high ceiling where it's like the ALCS, and then the next year we're barely scraping wild card, and I don't want that. I want to consistently be in the fight. Yeah, and that's what I don't want. I want to be able to say, hey, we're like the Yankees. Hey, we're like, the Astros. We're in the playoffs consistently. I don't want to just barely miss the wild card.
This would be the time to break that trend, because we have a new manager who has seemingly set a precedent for the guys in the clubhouse. I've heard him say multiple times on broadcast interviews during spring training and clubhouse interviews after games in spring training. He's told the team in the clubhouse before they even got to spring training, we have set a new precedent.
Good.
The playoffs were our medium, or I forget exactly how he put it. He said the playoffs are the new floor as of last year.
Mm-hmm.
We got to that and set a new floor this year, which is we're playing for the ALCS and a World Series championship. And that floor has been risen, where I think in previous years, there was no drive from, I don't want to say Terry didn't set a precedent like that, but I don't think he did, not as assertively as Vogt has going into the season.
Payton looks like he wants to kill me. So Payton, why don't we move on to the next one? He just straight looked at me like this.
He's turning more red by the second.
Is a tomato.
It's that red vein. Anyways, though,
yes,
new segment, just because it's been so much negativity all show long. And for one, I want to end up doing one more callback to earlier. Again, Twitter poll going up after the show. Next week, we'll end up sharing it, the results. If you tweet at us with an answer, we'll share it on the air. But is NIL ruining March Madness? But the one thing I want to end up going towards, and it's going to be a new segment that we end up doing each week because I like it a lot. It's going to be called
You like that? You like that?
Are You Like That Pick of the Week?
You like that pick of the week?
Yeah,
Shout
so
out to
things that you absolutely love going
Kirk
into
Cousins.
this week up until next Tuesday, whether or not it's maybe like Jose and Bobby Witt facing each other, 2 MVP candidates possibly, Tanner Bybee's extension, anything in the sports world, but something that you like a lot coming this upcoming week, and then we'll wrap up the show. And again, in case if you forgot, it's called the
You like that? You like that?
Pick of the Week.
I guess I'll go first. This is straight off the top. My you like that pick of the week is Cooper Flagg to absolutely dominate through the Elite Eight this weekend. I think it's going to be fun to watch him. It's been fun to watch all year, and I can't wait to watch him compete at the highest level of college basketball this weekend.
So, Avi, are you telling me that
You like that? You like that?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Exactly.
All right. Well, if I had to say my okay, I was waiting for the cue from playing it, but he did. Okay, wow. You're late to the fucking party, damn it.
I saw your
right.
hand way too late. I looked down and I looked back up, and I'm like, he's literally waiting for a Mr. like Kennedy microphone.
Kennedy. No, okay. So my like that play of the week is I think we're gonna see the Roll Tide roll down a hill here and BYU upsets them this week. I think that's going to be a you like that moment of the week.
So Cam, are you telling me?
You like that? You like that?
I sure do.
All right. So my
You like that? You like that?
I'm changing it up. I absolutely love the extension of Tanner Bybee for the Cleveland Guardians. We didn't talk about it last week. We didn't even talk about it this week, but big news, huge extension, well-deserved, up until 2030, 2031 with an option, and he doesn't even get paid the big bucks until the end of this decade, which is crazy to think about, but I'm talking 2028, 2029, which is only 3 years from now. But for a pitcher that's a well-deserved, and in reality, I heard this the other day, Shane Bieber, for the first time since I think 2019, he won't be the opening day starter. And when he comes back, he probably won't be the ace of the rotation either because of coming off of an injury. Shane ended up being the ace of the past. Tanner Bybee's the future. And Stephen Vogt challenged him last year. And I'm sure you guys remember this quote. Stephen Vogt told Tanner Bybee, if you want to be the ace, prove it to me, show it to me. And all I got to say to that is,
You like that? You like that?
hell yeah.
Well put. That was so
like
eloquent.
that segment.
Quick, easy, simple, nice and easy to go, you know?
Nice
But
and easy to go.
There was a lot of easies in that sentence, but
nice, quick, easy, you know, nice and easy to go, you know?
Turn into Mario for a minute. Yes.
For March Madness, it's kind of tough. There's a lot of games ahead. But when we come back next Tuesday, mind you, it'll end up only being Kansas City Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
2 games against one
Monday.
game against the Padres.
Is Monday a San Diego game?
Starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Cleveland's up against the Padres, and then we're off Thursday going to LA for 3, and then we are off Monday coming home to play the White Sox for 3 here in Cleveland, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we host the Royals for 3 that weekend in Cleveland.
Cam has that like memorized. Apparently.
And then I think we go to Baltimore for 3, and then we go to Pirates for 3, and then we come home against the Yankees for 3, and then we host the Red Sox for 3. You can check that all you want. Tough.
That is
Hold
correct.
on. There we go.
Someone's excited for baseball.
Huge.
What was that, Payton? What was that?
Huge.
It was huge. But anyways, going to the first part of what Cam said, Tuesday next week. So we're talking Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday against the Padres, 1 game, and the Royals. When we come back next week, where do you guys see us at? Cleveland Guardians.
2-2. 2-2. I don't like Luis Ortiz in the first game against the Padres scream issue. Also,
Yeah.
breaking news. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off on this one. The New York Giants have reached a contract agreement with
Daniel Jones.
Russell Wilson. They just
What
signed
the-
Russell Wilson. You got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. How we feeling, buddy? It's got to
I'm
be better than
confused
Kenny
as a
Pickett.
Steelers
It's
fan.
better than
You guys are getting Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers are getting Aaron Rodgers.
So that
And then
means
your
they're going to
backup's
pick Travis
Mason
Hunter.
Rudolph.
Hold on,
gonna
I
take
had two
Travis
people at
Hunter.
once. More than likely, yes.
Yeah. I kind of love it because if we have Russell
Well-
Wilson with Travis Hunter on one side and Malik Neighbors on the other, it's hard to go wrong, I feel like.
I think it's only a 1-year deal, so Winston and Wilson would be expiring contracts, so they might.
Well, Jameis
Okay,
is
well,
a 2-year.
no, they're saying they're out of the quarterback market now. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
so
saying.
Yeah.
They're going to take Travis Hunter.
yeah.
So, Avi, are you telling me that you just changed your?
You like that? You like that?
Yeah,
No,
I don't
'cause
think
I
he
don't know
likes
if I-
that.
I don't think I really like it. I think I'm just like okay with it. I wish I could say I like that, but
Anyways,
it's Russell Wilson.
Cam says 2-2 for the guards. Avi,
I'm with him. I think it's going to be a rough first start for Luis Ortiz and Ben Lively. You know, I just don't see it going exactly as planned, to be honest.
And the homer pick.
you know, honestly, I'm always the homer, no matter what, whether or not it's on the radio station, whether or not that it's here. I think I'm going to set my expectations low to start off because chances are, if you listen on Friday after opening day, my thoughts will probably change, but that's going to probably be easier to predict the rest of the weekend. But I think to be safe right now, I'm going to say 1-3.
Who's the win?
Opening day, Tanner Bybee. I think that's going to be the start. And then from there,
Yeah, it's Gavin Williams and Seth Lugo on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a duel, man. I mean, Gavin threw well in spring training, so who knows? He could have a great outing first time out, but
Luis Ortiz and
the
Ben
rest of that
Lively scare
rotation,
me.
man, it's gonna be rough. That's for sure.
Logan Allen looks like a plus, but I feel like he should have been the third starter. Luis Ortiz and Ben Lively should have been your Salazar and Josh Tomlin type of rotation. But we'll see. Maybe I get
We shall
surprised by
see.
Luis Ortiz, but he pitched again today and gave up 2 earned runs in 4 innings with 5 hits allowed. So
at this point,
Not as bad
just
as
get
last
5.
time.
Just get 5. That's all you need out of him as a starter. Just give me 5.
we need 5 to 6 minimum. Anything less, it kills the bullpen. We can't have that this year.
Joey Cantillo, former starter. Tristan McKenzie, former starter. Mainly I'm banking on Cantillo here, but you have a good arm that could last longer than 2 to 3 innings if need be.
Cantillo is going to be, I think, like our Avila of last year, where he's going to be the innings eater when we need him.
That's what they signed Jacob Junis for. I could see more of going.
Junis too. Yeah.
I could see more of Cantillo being the 3-3 swap with Lively. Let Lively pitch for 3, let Cantillo pitch for 3, and then go to the bullpen. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But
well,
we
on
shall
that
see.
note, next Tuesday, 5:45 or 6 o'clock. Stay tuned. Just be on your phone around that time. You know we're coming. Baseball time is here on Thursday. Less than 48. Can't do math. Less than 48 hours away. On that note, though, you could look forward to the You Like That pick of the week. You could end up getting the results of the poll if NIL ruined March Madness. That's over on our Twitter at We Like Sports PC. Follow me at Payton Vince, at Avi Ehrlich. Am I right? Hell yeah.
2 thumbs up.
At Sportsboy Cam. Catch us next Tuesday. Any final thoughts, guys?
Go Guards.